Stonehenge, an ancient wonder of the world, with towering stone pillars set in the lovely English kingside, accompanied by the dew of the grass and the fields for cows and sheep. It is renowned across the world, known as a staple of archaeology and the mystery that is surrounded by. What is it? Why is it there? The only people that know that would be the Bronze Age workers that heaved it up, not realizing the effect that would have on the world, not being able to see the car parks and the villages, the gift shop that sells Stonehenge branded straws for $11, not kidding about that one. With the heaving and pulling, they were able to get the stones from the place that they got them from a full 20 miles away and tugged them to their destination. When done, after going through phase upon phase, generations all working towards a similar goal after 1,500 grueling years, heaved a sigh of relief looking at their creation. But again, why? Why did they do this? Well, scholars nowadays are still debating this, but prevailing theories range from using it as a burial site, as in 2013, a team of researchers found 50,000 bone fragments below and around Stonehenge's surface, showing foolproof evidence. Or maybe it was used as a ceremonial center fit for celebrations and parties. The center is being used for campfires or dancers. It could have been used for religious celebrations as a sort of gathering point. The rocks themselves have an unusual acoustic property, which could have been a part of why the stones were taken from so far away, as this attribute would have enhanced the experience of ceremonies that are based on audio, and would have been a technological achievement. Another theory that tries to think why it sits there is because of the heel stone. The heel stone, also known as the friar stone, no, not friar like for a chicken, but friar, like F-R-I-A-R. I know you now want KFC, but wait for a little, okay? It's around 5 meters in height and 34 tons, while being 77.4 meters from the center of Stonehenge, or 84.6 yards. This stone, when viewed from the middle of the circle on the summer solstice, lines up right with the sun, and vice versa with the winter solstice. Another stone, Stone 16, does the same thing. These stones with this special property, are the only two on the site that have not been altered or moved for millions of years. In another recent research project, it was discovered that the heel stone must have been there in the same place for millions of years, probably about 2 million years. It seems like there's a connection here. Stonehenge would have been built as an indicator of the coming summer and the harsh winter, and that it would have been a location that would have been chosen because of the two original stones and their unique properties. Or maybe it was aliens. Nobody knows for sure, except maybe the burial ground theory, because that is supported by factual evidence. That's why, even though it looks nothing more than just a pile of big rocks, its history is deeper and more interesting than that. It's part of history, it's a living artifact, it has an aura of mystique that comes with something as old and weathered as it is living on for us to see. But Stonehenge is not the only stone circle of its kind. Dotted around England, Wales, Scotland, Ireland, some in Europe, Africa, and some in China, are ancient stone circles, which, like Stonehenge, are thousands of years old. There are around 1,300 stone circles in the UK and Ireland itself, the other regions having only a few per region, a few in Africa, a few in Central Europe, a few in China. Most of these stone circles are not as massive and as renowned as Stonehenge is, only a small percentage share the same stature and size. The ones are usually on a smaller scale, their height not exceeding a meter usually, with the average of 10 to 20 stones either in 1 or 2 rings. And if I'm gonna be honest, some are so boring and small it's actually quite funny. Some of these things compare to the size of my ego. Anyways, getting back on track with the greatest video ever made, Ancient, as I previously described, does not cover how old these things are. Evidence points to the first appearance of these structures popping up in 5000 BC in France. And these first ones in UK would probably be appearing around 3000 BC. And they just sat there, weathering, eroding, shining into the sunlight for thousands of years. Campers came and went, villages popped up, trees made way to farmland, the airplanes, the tourists, camera from some dude taking pictures of himself vandalizing it. These artifacts have seen it all. They have seen the years upon years that come and go. But at the beginning of their lifetimes, the time that they were first put in the ground, what were the builders wanting to do? What was their purpose? Why were they making such seemingly meaningless monuments with no explanation or clear intent? What was going through their minds as they heaved those heavy stones into their places? Well, in this video, I want to answer that question and show examples of what they are and look like, and how people have used and interacted with them throughout history. This is the Other Stonehenges. Before we go on, like and subscribe if you want, because this video took about 2 weeks to make, so it'd be awesome if you could. Anyways, on with the video. The first stone circle in this video is the Birkbrigg stone circle made around 1500 BC. Made out of carnivorous limestone, a common sedimentary stone circle material that is common in Britain. The inner and outer rings, the inner consisting of 10 stones which appear complete, ranging from 0.2 meters to 0.9 meters in height, while the outside 15 are regular and smaller. 5 cremations were found in 1911 by the North Lonsdale Field Club. They also found evidence of cobble under the circle. Studies in 1923 found tools in ochre, which is a pigment used for ceremonial usages. This suggests that it was used for religious events, which is also supported by the area around it having a high population in the Bronze Age. And geez, there are 84 restaurants within 5 miles? These people really like to eat. The Burnmore circles date back to around 2000 BC and are around 1 mile away from the town of Boot. It's a very funny name, I don't know why they called it Boot. The biggest one, Brat's Hill, consists of 42 stones and a 30-meter diameter. 100 meters away, White Moss is 16.6 meters in diameter, 14 stones in total. 500 meters away from Brat's Hill are the 2 Longrig stone circles, which for some reason I got confused with the Birkrig and spent 10 minutes fact-checking that they weren't the same thing. I mean, they kinda sound the same. One is 21 meters in diameter with 14 stones, the other 15 meters with 9 stones. These are interesting because they are in such close proximity, along with Brat's Hill being so large. Having 42 stones with a 30-meter diameter is unheard of. Well, take for example, Stonehenge. But it's quite rare, I guess. These stones are also in the middle of a field, a nondescript, boring field that has nothing interesting near it. It's a very random location, and with nothing to support why it's there, it's pretty much unexplained. The next, Dalter, is a cute little stone circle in the middle of a beautiful forest, which, of the ones that I researched, would probably be my favorite. Just getting out in a teensy 7 meters in diameter, 6 upright stones, a stone cairn, which is a man-made pile of stones to the east. Excavations have discovered graves, both around it and under it. Oh, that's pretty creepy. In 1852, Thomas Bateman found Daltor, and after using his penknife to unearth some interesting artifacts, he returned later to unearth it with a paddle. In 1861, he made the first written record of the stone circle. In 1993, some people vandalized the circle, adding stones to the total to increase and remove much of the cairn. Fortunately, the next year, a project was launched to restore it, and an archaeologist even said that, quote, The monument now is closer to its prehistoric appearance than at any other time in historic times. This will hopefully negate future attempts at ill-informed rebuilding of the site." End quote. But alas, in June 2020, it was again vandalized, for stones were misplaced and fires lit. This quite teensy-weensy, cute baby, nice little goop. Oh, so cute. Nice stone circle. Slap out of it. This one is so small and teensy that it shows that these things don't need to be big. They can also be small and still serve the same functions and purpose that the others once served, even as so cutesy-wootsy. Thanks for the ice packet, Mom! Rempstone Stone Circle has only 8 stones still surviving, 5 standing and the other 3 laying down. It is overgrown with moss and irregularities rampant. The southern half of the circle is destroyed, 3 stones are half buried. The diameter would have been 26 meters or 80 feet if it wasn't for the fact that most of the stones were destroyed. This stone circle is interesting because when it was discovered in the 20th century, a folk mythical story came to prevalence. One that theorized that the stones were there because a devil had tried to throw them at the Corfe castle. Even though this myth is new, it makes you think about what the implications of building these were. People back then were very religious and superstitious, and if you walking along a random stone circle in the middle of the woods with no explanation, with no context, with no evidence of any human interaction, your brain would probably likely go to supernatural interference. Stories and rumors would go all over the place, from the devil's kick to God's toes to Uncle Tony's passion project. These places could become religious symbols, a real-life mythical location, and that might be part of how they expanded. 3 of the ways this might have influenced the spread of the stone circle trend. One is it might have made people want to mess around with other people that thought that the stone circles were something from the supernatural by misleading them into thinking that these ones were true and from the supernatural. The second is that they might have wanted to make them as a way to show their support or to show their appreciation of their religion. Or 3, and this one ties with the first one, that aliens wanted to mess with us, so they made a bunch of them. My vote's for number 3, okay? Outside of Britain, the stone circle trend spread across the world. It even got as far as Hong Kong, exemplified by the Fan Lao stone circle. One of the most hilarious sights I've ever seen. I mean, sit down, Doltor. This one wins the cute category. It is 2.7 by 1.7 meters with 19 stones in a small oval. Nothing jumps out as an apparent usage. Nothing prevalent has been found to indicate it been used for anything ceremonial. In 1983, it was declared a monument and is now surrounded by a cage like a little boxed-in tiger. Except for being a big tiger, it's a kitty cat. There are a few other of these circles in and around Hong Kong, like the Hai Tsai, made of 28 stones buried under the earth, and the Taipo Kau. I'm sorry if I pronounced that right, or wrong. I always pronounce foreign stuff wrong in these videos, and I hate myself for it. Which was found and excavated in the building of a house. A very interesting one in Europe is Almendres Cromlech, which is comparable to the size of Stonehenge, maybe even larger. This colossal structure is 62 by 32 meters, or 205 by 105 feet, 95 massive granite boulders, all 2.5 to 3 meters in size, tower in a collective spectacle that takes you by surprise. It was used per the archaeological studies that investigated it as either for a religious ceremonies or a primitive version of astronomical observatory. Very intriguing, as none of these stone circles have ever been that before. All of these stone circles all around the world, all of these historic landmarks of a past time, from Stonehenge to Doltur to Fan Lao. But what are these for, and why are they there? All of our previous questions still hold, so here are the answers. Stone circles most likely started off as a fad, spread across the world over thousands of years. They were propelled by mostly religion and the ceremonies that they were used for. They became places of worship, places of gathering, religion, the driving force. Through all of the archaeology and such, we have found mountains of evidence about that fact. They also were probably used for burial sites and graves. Another thing that might have contributed to the rise is folklore, legends, and myths, all of these stories and tales that would cast these circles in different lights than what they actually were. So in conclusion, stone circles were ancient religious structures for ceremonies and burials that were spread by folktales and their usages as a trend during the Bronze Age. Thanks so much for watching, it actually means the world to me. This video has taken at least 2 weeks to make, my absolutely biggest video yet, and I really do hope you enjoyed. So please like and sub if you want, it would be amazing. And so, see ya.